Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which is in our Great Engine Game series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler, and as a little bit of a little sweet in between the main courses of the Deep Blue Kasparov 1996 and 1997 match, I just wanted to show you a quite astounding game played between Marvin and Booot at the TCEC Season 26 Swiss 6. Let's have a look how that went. So it started off, this is all the TCEC book, and we've got a Chigorin main line, and then this move bishop g5, which was recommended, I believe, by Boris Avruk in one of his excellent quality chess books for a 1d4 repertoire. After h6, bishop h4, a6, d5. I'm not quite sure whether white's playing this fine, but actually here already the engines consider that black has a slight edge. So the engines consider that after g5, bishop g3, bishop g7, that black's actually doing pretty well. Well, it's complicated, right? e5, knight h5, queen a4 check, and we're going to get this typical Chigorin piece sacrifice where white somehow manages to grab this knight on a5. Actually, however, playing g5 has been quite useful because we go g4, we're going to hit this pawn on e5, and after takes, rook takes a5, knight g3, takes b6, chasing the rook away, rook a3, g takes f3, black's doing very nicely in actual fact. We've got bishop takes e5 in the mix, should all be fine. However, that was not the TCEC book, nor was the move c6 that was actually played in a recent, was it a rapid game actually? I think it was Brunello against Preotu in the Julius Baer play in chess.com. It's one of those, I think, isn't that the tournament where Magnus takes on all the juniors? I'm not sure, but anyway, that was played in there, and that's about equal according to the engines, but the engines got something much more risky, and that was the move b5. And after b5, well, in principle, white's got quite a big advantage. But how that's supposed to happen is quite amazing. So e5 is a good first move, and now knight h5, and Stockfish is giving this at 1.39. But the reason it's giving 1.39 is, will knock your socks off. Well, it certainly did mine. And a few other pieces of clothing as well, because, well, maybe you just stop it and you have a look. I can honestly say this would probably be the last move I'd look at. So, or one of the last anyway. Because Marvin played bishop e2, which is quite reasonable. But the absolute best move in this position is to play g4. You saw it, right? g4. Well, we're attacking this knight on f4. If you take with the bishop on g4, it's just hanging. There's nothing immediate, but you play the move rook g1. And, well, this bishop is a little bit embarrassed. If you go bishop f5, I'll just go knight d4. And I'm hitting both these guys. The best move is to go bishop c8, and then we just go bishop e2. And basically we just carry on as if nothing happened, only we've got an open g-file and a little bit of extra development. So this was how quite a few of my engine games went. We just line up here and we go castles, and yeah, white has got a huge position. You know, knight e4's coming in, we'll have pins on here. We've just got, you know, the whole thing. After knight f4 you go bishop g3, you pin the knight as well. It's a complete disaster. So this move, bishop, I've never seen an idea like this. Just giving away the g-pawn, taking a tempo on the g-file, and then getting on with your life. Incredible. If you go knight f4, that was what the engines were trying. Then we go bishop g3, g5, and h4. And you're going to undermine this knight on f4. But I mean, it's completely bananas, right? Because I mean, I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I suppose I'd sort of guess that white's got a good chance of an advantage here. But I mean, it's just totally. The position is impossible to fathom. I mean, black takes on here on b2, and after rook b1 takes on g4. I mean, white's just losing pawns left, right, and centre. And after rook b2, we go e6, just to try and give ourselves a little bit of space. But we go d6, takes, bishop g7, and now the amazing move rook d2. Yeah, what do we care about a possible dark squared bishop here? Yeah, obviously losing the dark squared bishop would be appalling for black, but still, you know, I mean, it just carries on like absolutely bananas. I'll just show you a few more things. d7 check, rook d3, knight c6, g takes h6, queen a4, takes, no taking on f3, rook h3 is the move that the engines want to play. And after c2 takes, we've got knight e5, because if bishop e5, there's c1 queen. And yet after bishop c1, yeah, the engines are just saying, yeah, easy win for white, easy win for white. You know, we're coming around here with check. The king's just in awful problems here. I mean, it's absolutely bananas, this whole thing. It's just absolutely incredible. This whole line with g4, I've never seen anything like it. But that didn't happen, but amazingly enough we got something that looks even crazier. So bishop e2 was played. e6 has been played in human games before. Queen d6 is what the engines want to play, just covering some of the light squares, and you're getting ready to play g6 and bishop g7. Should still be pretty good for white, but it's not as clear as that amazing move g4. Well, Booot played bishop e2, and now g5 followed. Knight f4 looks vaguely tempting, you know, but you actually just go bishop g3 here, and well, if knight g2, I just go king f1, and bishop h3, I just go king here, and then I'm just going to pick up the piece with bishop f1 here. So so instead g5 was played, which is the best move, and now this lovely little intermezzo, e6. My game changer co-author Natasha would have a thing or two to say about intermezzi. She's done a course on that, chessable course. So yeah, the idea is that if you go g takes h4, I've got this very unpleasant move knight e5 with, well, I think to call them multiple threats is putting it mildly. So bishop g7 is played just to keep the knight out of e5, and actually Marvin implements a similar plan, but just it's costing more material basically, and that's always I mean, if you could ever do it, it's an excellent defensive approach. That you know, the key thing is to make the opponent spend material to get at your king basically, because hopefully if he's sacrificing material, by the time he gets to your king, he won't have enough left to mate you with. So we've got a lot of threats, right? We've got ef, we've got knight f7, which is going to trap the black queen. We've got bishop takes h5 as well. Actually, it just looks completely lost for black. I mean, that's my feeling on seeing it. But Booot did something incredible here. Played the move knight f4. So Marvin just took on f7 and forking these two guys. And, well, you know, I mean, it looks like the queen is trapped. I mean, okay, you could go and play a move like here and queen takes d5, but I just take and go knight h8 and I'm just completely winning, right? I'm lots of material up. So what Booot did, you might want to sort of look at your tactics and maybe test yourself out at any virtually at any point there in the next 7 or 8 moves, because it is incredible. Booot played the move bishop takes e6. Well, obviously, if you take on e6, we play queen d1 and we get ourselves out of trouble. But yeah, there's a big fat queen hanging there. And Booot plays knight takes g2. Now, the surprising thing here is that white has to play the king to f1, because if you go king d2, we give a little check-a-rooney here, and after king there, we give another little check-a-rooney. And yeah, the only way that you're going to get out of this reasonably is to give a knight up first of all. But then after rook takes d8, hey presto, you count the pieces, and black's actually got 3 pieces for the queen, and well, it's pretty good pieces as well. So you know, the king's open as well, so it's pretty risky. There's one very nice idea that if you go bishop f3, then Dragon actually threw in the lovely bishop d2 check here. Which if king d2, we can go rook takes d5 check, and if queen takes d2, then we go bishop takes f3, and then we follow up with rook takes d5, and well, the king's going to get into trouble. So king d2 is bad, so king f1 is played, and now bishop h3, and Yeah, this is got a big threat here. We've got the threat of knight e3 check, forking the 2. Now there's a few different moves in here. I let my engines look at all of them, but they're all equally bananas basically. But I mean, queen b1 is definitely the most reasonable move. King g1 is sort of okay as well, but queen b1 has the most menace, of course, because it gets the queen out of the check, and it's also threatening this move queen g6. So, you know, I mean, that's quite dangerous. Rook takes d8. White just ignores it here, which is quite incredible. But, you know, there's only... Black's got, 2 pieces for the queen now. So, you know, vague compensation. But what white actually does is quite interesting. Plays the move queen g6 check. King f8 is played, and then queen a6, and kind of the idea of that is to get the queen nice and out of the way, so there's not going to be any checks or forks or anything. And at the same time, white's just actually going to win this knight on a5 when you're only going to have 1 piece for the queen. You know, so what does black do here? Well, you know, there are a lot of threats. But the problem is that if you start checking the king, the white king will be able to start running over here. And, you know, obviously because the white queen has left this area, there's more space, and there's also less risk of getting hit by forks or pins. But what Booot does is amazing. So, yeah, I mean, you should definitely, if you want to have a tactical test, then try and find the next 3 moves from Booot, because... wager to say that you won't be able to. So it's rook h6. So we're bringing our rook into play with gain of tempo. Queen takes a5. Only a piece for the queen now. Knight f4 check. King e1. And now one of the most amazing moves I've ever seen. Queen for a piece down. Booot offers another rook with rook e6. Wow! Wow, 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 wow. First of all, is there a threat? There is certainly a threat. We've got a threat of bishop takes c3 and something like rook takes c2 check. So, for example, in this position, Stockfish and Dragon were also looking at a move like rook c1. When we go bishop c3, rook c3, we go rook e2 check, king f1, we go rook d5 check, king c1, and then bishop f5. And, yeah, I mean, you've got... you know, a lot of extra material there, but there's a lot of threats. So, you know, rook d2, knight d3 check, but it keeps on coming out. Queen a8 check, king f7, rook g1. This looks really dangerous, but then we come king e6, and we just escape over here. King d6, queen g3, e5, and well, the attack keeps on coming. I mean, it looks horrifically scary for white to me. The engines think that white can make a draw here, and there's various chances for perpetuals, but just incredible line this. But yeah, simply, you know, all this power with all these pieces is just amazing. So Marvin took on the e6, and you sort of say, well, why not? But the cunning thing about it is that by taking on the e6, this rook now is stopping the white king from moving across the d file. So that simply means that we can go knight g2 check, king f1, knight f4. And if king e1, we go knight g2 check, and after king f1 we go knight f4. And white's got nothing better than to agree to a draw by repetition with king e1. Because if you go king g1, last little tactical test for you, white just plays the move bishop takes c3, hitting the queen, well, completely lost here for white, because after queen c3 we've got knight e2 check. The only thing you can do is to play a move like bishop f1 and give up the queen, but in this position this is just very strong. This move's very good for black. We're going to go knight f4 check, force the king back, and then well, these pawns are going to roll, and this one's going to go, and yeah, just a completely winning position for black. So there we are. I mean, I think 2 extraordinary moves. I mean, there's a lot of very amazing moves, but rook e6 is absolutely amazing from Booot. Absolutely incredible. I think bishop takes e6 is also an absolutely amazing move. And, well, I do have to say that the Stockfish and Dragon refutation of this line, g4, is also right up there in my goodness me, you know. Yeah, I mean, I had a day where a few people were complaining about, the influence of engines, or looking at stuff and saying, "Oh, that's an engine move." But yeah, these are engine moves, and you just say, "Wow, would we ever discover anything like this in 100 years?" Engines really do help to broaden out our perspective about what is possible in chess, and I think the amazing thing is, and that's the thing about this new, since 2018-19, flush of engines, is that the chess that they're playing is the amazing chess that we'd like to play ourselves. I mean, if I found an idea like this, I'd be running with my t-shirt over my head, goal celebrating, for weeks afterwards. It's just absolutely incredible. So there we are. I hope you enjoyed that. I just had to share that with you. I just caught it by accident, and I just thought it was amazing. And yeah, otherwise, do stay tuned to this channel, because I've got 7 great videos: introduction to the Deep Blue Kasparov match of '97, and then some really, really good analysis, I think, of all the games. Really shedding a lot of new light, and got a lot of new insights, I think, into how it went. So do stay tuned for that. But otherwise, thanks very much for watching, and hope to see you soon.